Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be testing out the new Rimmel Lasting Finish 25-hour breathable foundation and concealer. I don't know if this is out in the US yet, but this is in Boots and Superdrug in the UK already, and you can also get it online. I picked up the shade Classic Beige in the foundation, and I picked up Light in the concealer. The concealer potentially is going to be a bit light for me. This is in no way going to be the correct shade. This was the deepest shade that they had in my Boots. So there are 14 shades of the foundation and 6 of the concealer. So that's kind of a bit out of whack to me. Usually like at drugstore you see like 2 or 3 shades of concealer and like maybe the same number of shades of foundation. So there seems to be a lot more shades of concealer and not enough shades of foundation. Literally it was like shades of beige when I went in, so there was like 5 or 6 shades available. This was the darkest shade, and it's at least 2 shades too light for me. And all of the other shades were very close, very similar to this, all different shades of beige and ivory, so that's a bit frustrating that I wasn't even able to get, for me, a decent shade. So yeah, hopefully the bigger stores. My Boots is not small, but it's not the largest either, so hopefully the other stores are carrying a much more decent shade range, but please let me know. So this is supposed to be 25 hours, breathable, supposed to be really light on the skin, medium coverage, like a natural finish, and the same for the concealer, supposed to be medium coverage. It doesn't really claim to be like anti-creasing or anything like that, which is making me nervous because that's like what I want from a concealer. It just kind of says it's very long lasting, medium coverage, and helps to conceal imperfections. And obviously it's kind of claiming to be quite light and not that sort of concealer heavy cakey foundation feel on the skin. So I guess we'll get started and see how it goes on my face. So as usual, when I've been testing out a new foundation, I've primed my skin with the Stila One Step Correct, just to give me a nice, simple base that isn't gonna play around with the product too much. So the foundation doesn't seem to state whether to apply with a sponge or a brush, so I'm gonna try half and half. I have not used this at all yet, so as I said, this shade, I mean, I just don't know what is going to happen, but fingers crossed, guys. Fingers crossed. Okay, it's a giant doe foot. So this is like the Clinique foundation, you know, they're like foundation and concealer in one, the 2-in-1 foundation. It has this giant doe foot on the end. So that's not going to be to everyone's liking, and then it's just the open bottle. It does have quite a strong smell, but it's quite a pleasant smell. Not necessarily perfume, but also not particularly chemically. It's again that sort of SPF type smell. This does have SPF 20 in it, which is very high, so I guess you would expect that. So, so I guess we just go with this. I mean, it's hard to tell. Okay, it's very runny. It's hard to tell on here because obviously it's got the applicator, but I've just had a look in the bottle and it is running everywhere, so it seems quite runny. Oh god, I'm not really a fan of that applicator because it's, you know, once you've put it on, you've then got to move it around quite quickly. That did seem to sort of start to dry down quite quickly, so I had to move quite quick. That's given me an okay coverage for just that little bit. I guess it does stop you using too much as well, because you've not really got any choice other than to sort of build it up quite slowly. So I'm hoping we're going to be able to get a bit more coverage out of this. Because it does claim to be a medium, and this is very light to me. So I've dipped back in like 3 times and just built and built and built. There's been no issue with building it at all. That's all been absolutely fine. But I still say I'm struggling to get like a medium, like a solid medium here. I'd still say that I'm around the light to medium. So let's try with my Sigma F80 on the other side and see if that does any better. Normally with my foundation brushes, I kind of like do a little bit of a buffing. I'm kind of having to drag this because it doesn't want to sort of buff in that easily. It's a bit more hard work to sort of buff them, I would like. So we're not covering redness at the moment, we're not covering beauty spots. So again, I'm going to add some even more. Okay, so we've definitely had a bit more success going back in with the brush. I will say that the brush had a nicer overall finish to it. Like the Beauty Blender was kind of applying it a bit patchy and a bit struggling because, like I said, even with the brush I had to sort of smear and drag it a bit to blend it in. So I think the Beauty Blender is going to be a bit of a battle. Let's just move on for now to concealer. So again, shade was confusing, so I don't know how this is going to work. This is the third shade, so this is the shade Light, and again there was only 3 shades in store, so I did what I could. Oh, so this has this little sponge tip applicator, so this reminds me of like the Maybelline concealer, but the sponge is a lot smaller. It has a little hole that you can see the product come out of. This applicator is just not good. Not good. But you can usually cut these off, so if the product's good, that won't stop me. That was interesting, just suddenly decided to stop working. I will say it is a perfect size for a nose highlight, so I will say that. Oh, here we go, we're moving again. Oh God. This shade is very yellow. So that has blended in really nicely actually. I'm quite pleasantly surprised. It's quite a sort of luminous finish for a concealer, which is nice to see, a bit more of a natural finish. To be creasing currently. I wouldn't say it's fully covering my dark circles, I can just about still see them, but then it did say it was medium, so that is probably correct as far as the statement. Hate the applicator, but like I said, you could always cut that off, so no biggie. I'm just going to set that down with my RCMA, I don't know why I said it like that, my RCMA No Colour Powder, which is what I always use, so that's not going to influence me. Do you know what, the concealer, it looks nice. Obviously the thing with concealer is that you kind of want to see how it goes about the day as to whether it's going to crease or cause any problems like that, settling in lines, exaggerating lines, or if it's just going to disappear or move or anything like that. Obviously I've set it in place with my powder, so hopefully not, but the test will be in the wearing time. So I'm going to do the rest of my makeup and then I'll be back. Okay, so I have done the rest of my makeup. I didn't have any issues putting anything on top. I've gone in with highlight, bronzer, blush, and yeah, no issues whatsoever. And actually everything, it felt almost like I had set the foundation because everything blended so seamlessly and it felt really smooth. There was no tugging. Everything feels like there's no tack, there's no nothing, there's no issues at all. It doesn't seem to be really transferring just as I'm touching the foundation, so that's a really good sign. I do think everything looks really smooth. That is definitely something that I've noticed. I feel like it is kind of reducing my texture, is definitely not emphasizing it, so at the very least it's not going to cause you an issue with making anything look worse, and I actually feel like it is kind of smoothing things out as well. Let me zoom you in so you can have a closer look for yourselves. So where have you gone? Yeah, so I think in the end, obviously I went in with my brush over the top of the Beauty Blender side because the Beauty Blender side just wasn't really doing anything for me. So I would definitely recommend using a brush to apply this because I feel like it needs a bit more of a firmer hand than like a beauty sponge can kind of give you. But as you can see, everything is looking quite smooth. I don't know, now that I've got sort of bronzer, blush and everything on, you can still see like beauty marks here and obviously like this one up here poking through. You can almost just about see some redness down here. So it's definitely a sort of lighter side of medium. Yeah, it's probably now a sort of a medium, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So here you can see the concealer is looking okay shade-wise. You can see that it's not fully kind of covering my dark circles, and there is maybe slightly more sort of lines going on here, or more noticeable lines than I would normally see at this stage. So I feel like that will get a little bit worse as the day goes on. So I don't think this concealer is going to be a winner by the end of the day, but let's keep an open mind and just see what happens. It went on very nicely, it blended in very easily. As you can see, everything is looking nice and seamless. There's no patchiness, no issues around my nose or chin area or in between my eyebrows, which is where, if you're going to have issues with like blending and things like that, that's where I get them, or like sometimes up on my hairline, which again, everything is absolutely fine apart from this rogue hair. It's sunk into my smile lines, but every foundation does, so there's no surprise there. I did take a flash photo, which I will show you now. And I guess, as you would expect from a foundation that's got SPF 20 in it, there is a significant white cast there going on. So that's something to think about if you wanted this for like evenings or nights out. It is going to give you a quite obvious white cast. So the time has literally just gone 12, as you can see. So we're on 12:04 to be precise. So I'll give this the usual 8 to 9 hours, and I will be back to let you know how we got on. See you in a few. Hi guys, welcome back. It is now 8:46, so we are fast approaching the 9-hour mark for this foundation, and it has not done badly. I will zoom you in so we can just check this out together. You will see there's a bit of fading on my chin. There's a decent amount of fading on the bridge and tip of my nose, as well as around this area. It's basically gone. And down here, you can see a bit more of my redness than you could originally, but it's not bad. It's not bad. I just asked my husband what he thought when he came in from work, and he was like, yeah, it looks nice. It looks quite natural. Not as nice as the other day when he was referring to when I was trying out the L'Oreal Age Perfect foundation. So he was like, oh, it looked much nicer the other day when I tried that one out. And that's kind of how I feel. If you're looking for a drugstore foundation, I feel like that one had less white cast. It lasted better at this stage. I feel like I just like the finish better, and I think I used less product to get better coverage of things like my redness. I don't necessarily, obviously it wasn't supposed to be full coverage, this foundation, so it doesn't necessarily need to be full coverage, but I do want it to cover my redness, and I don't feel like, you know, obviously it's not doing that now because it's starting to wear. But yeah, I did want it to do that at the beginning. I will also say with the concealer, let's just zoom you back in. I zoomed out prematurely. You can see these lines under here and this darkness, and that is not normal for me. I feel like the concealer is creasing and exaggerating these lines underneath my eyes. Normally they don't look that pronounced. They look like full-on bags, and again, that is not my normal situation, so the concealer is not a win for me. Like, my MAC Pro Longwear is way better. This Maybelline concealer, I think it's called the Age Rewind in the US, but in the UK it's called the Eraser Eye. This one is much better for a drugstore concealer, so for me that one was a little bit of a fail. So yeah, foundation, it's okay. For a drugstore, it's decent. Are there better out there? Definitely. I prefer the number 7, and I prefer definitely the L'Oreal Age Perfect. I think that's much more of a beautiful finish, wears better and gives a nicer coverage. Not necessarily more full, but just nicer as far as dealing with unevenness and redness. I think you can kind of see that my highlight's still there, but blush and bronzer is basically gone, and again, that doesn't make me happy. So yeah, I feel like it could have gone better. That's my summary. Could do better. That's the end of my review. I hope you found this helpful, and if you did, please like and subscribe before you go so I can see you again. If not, I hope you are having a great week, and I hope to see you in a future video. Bye bye for now.